Matt, congratulations
Thank you.
on the film. You've said, I wanted this film to be a biblical epic. I see Caesar as the ape Moses.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because if you look at it in the history of this early ape civilization, he is the critical figure that without him, they wouldn't be where they are. And the idea, especially given the conflict of this story, which is a war story, was to put Caesar to his greatest test yet. And in passing it, he will transcend into the realm of the mythic. He will be that ape that other apes will look back at and say, you know, he forged the path for us. He is why we are here.
With a biblical film comes a mammoth budget. What's it like being involved in a film where I know money is a problem, but not like working on an indie film? What's it like to go, I want this, and 9 times out of 10 you get it?
No, well, you know, it's interesting because the thing about these movies, and not to say that the movies are enormously expensive, but what is the most expensive are the visual effects. And the challenge of this movie was that I wanted to do an ape point of view movie. And that meant that the apes are in every scene. So in the other films, there were always scenes that didn't have apes in them, and the ape shots are incredibly expensive. So the budget actually goes to paying to make sure that you see these close-ups of these apes and that you're connecting to the emotion of what you're seeing. So in a weird way, you'd be surprised how the production is not as grand as you would think. However, given that, it's a war movie, so we wanted to have battles, and I wanted it to be like a David Lean movie. I wanted the movie to be the most ambitious apes movie yet, and we were able to do that. It was thrilling. You know, we went out and we shot on 65 millimeter, and we shot on these beautiful locations, and we have some pretty sizable battle scenes. And the thing that matters the most, though, and the thing that really most of that money went to, was the intimacy, which is all of the stuff that really matters. It's a war movie between the species, but it's the war for Caesar's soul that really matters. And so most of that money went to make sure that the emotions that Andy Serkis was giving us in his performance were translated into this photoreal ape that you looked at and felt like you were seeing yourself in some way.
I was watching it wondering, casting this film is completely different to casting any other film.
Sure.
How do you cast an ape, and how do you know, like, you go by your gut going, I think that's a good actor, but a good actor isn't necessarily able to convey the emotions that you need to be an ape?
No, and it's not that they can't convey the emotions. A good actor can convey the emotions. The question is, can they find a way to convey the emotions and still do what is required physically? What basically has to happen is they have to be able to work with Terry Notary and to be in their bodies in such a way, it's almost like you're learning a certain skill that then you have to forget, because the only thing that really matters is the emotional essence. But if you can't, as a foundation, do the ape movements, then the illusion won't be complete. So the casting process is challenging. You know, the actors come in and I first have them do a scene that is a human scene, and I see what they're like as actors. And then we start throwing at them these kind of more primitive exercises, and then if there's an actor that I really like, we have them do callbacks where I have them work with Terry Notary, and I talk to Terry and I say, so Terry, you know, I like this actor a lot. What was your sense about their ability to pick up these movements? And he gives me, you know, his thoughts, and then ultimately I just make the call as to whether or not I think I'm going to get what I need from that actor. So it's an unusual process.
I also am totally blown away by all of you involved in this film, because I'd love to be in your brain. I don't understand how you're able to direct somebody and not get, like, what we see, the end product.
Yeah.
How do you direct something that isn't at the end product?
Well, the direction is actually easier for me than the putting together, because the direction, look, I'm looking at Andy Serkis, and the first version of the movie that I'm making is not Planet of the Apes. It's Planet of these people in mocap suits.
Yeah.
That movie works. That's the movie I first cut together. But what happens is you then have to find a way to, in post, represent that movie, and so much of what is supposed to be there isn't there, and you have to look at it as if it is there. So you do this weird thing where, you know, as a director, my job is to respond to what I'm seeing. Here, I have to block out things I'm not supposed to be seeing, and yet respond to the essence of what is going to be there. So it's a weird mind trick you play on yourself, and that's the hardest part, actually.
I'm totally blown away by that. I know you can't say much.
Yeah.
But how are you feeling about taking on the Batman?
I'm
and what
excited.
stage are you at?
We're at the very beginning. I just finished this movie. I mean, literally, the one thing about doing a movie where the main characters don't exist until they are realized through the most complicated visual effects that there are today, that means that movie is not done until literally you're done. So I finished the movie about 8 days ago.
Are you
Oh
serious?
yeah, literally, yeah. So that's what's so weird is I've been working on this movie for 3 years, and the last year is all about the realization of those shots. And then what happens is around the time that the last shot comes in, because Weta will work up until the very end, you're done. And so suddenly I'm like, oh, that's the movie. And then it's like, oh, here's the movie. It's a very strange process. So anyway, the point of that being that I haven't even begun to work on Batman yet.
But you're very excited about
Oh,
it.
very much so.
And finally, you've said that you see this as more, Planet of the Apes, as more than 3 films. Do you still see it as more than 3
For
films?
sure. Yeah, I mean, one of the things we were seeding in Bad Ape was this notion that there are more apes out there that aren't Caesar's apes, and that the world is much larger than the apes ever imagined. And I think, those apes might not just be pockets of 1 and 2, there might be communities of apes, and they wouldn't have had the benefit of Caesar's leadership. So the conflicts in the future might not just be between humans and apes, they might be between apes and apes.
Could be very interesting. Matt
Yeah,
Reeves, thanks
for
so much
sure.
for your time.
Thank you.
Steve, great to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Congratulations on Bad Monkey. Absolutely loved him. How do you
Thanks.
prepare to become a chimpanzee?
It's a very long process. Very complicated. It's not something, and even, I'm kind of I've always been a physical actor, whether it be in theater. I used to dance. I pick things up quick, physical things. But this is a completely different thing. And it was not about imitating. I learned that very early on. If you went in and just kind of imitate, it doesn't work. You have to embody it. It has to be second nature because you have to play a complex character. And when you're acting, the last thing you want to think about is where, you know what I mean? Anything physical. It just doesn't work. So when I first got there, I realized all this stuff, like really in one day, going, oh, I have to do this. It has to become second nature. I have to. And I really became quite scared,
Really?
I really worked hard. I didn't have to work for like 2.5 weeks. And I came to set every day, and Terry Notary, who plays Rocket, was really my coach. Because Andy's working all day.
Yeah.
And Terry really took me under his wing, and he really broke it down, and he was able to verbalize these things that are just so bizarre. And it was really because of Terry that I was able to do this thing and feel confident. So that on the first day, when I did my scene, which was my first scene with Andy, my God, third movie.
No pressure.
Exactly. It's like, your first day on the team is playing in the Super Bowl. Like, really? Wow. So, anyway, and because Andy is the kind of actor he is and the kind of person he is, it made it easy. But I'm very proud of the prep and the work that it took to get to that final product.
You've seen yourself on screen numerous amounts of times. What was it like, though, seeing yourself on screen this time?
Oh, that was a moving experience. Hard to explain, but of why it was moving. I think it's because you just put so much effort and time into it, and to actually see yourself as an ape, not some created computer thing, or you see your work, right? All those things that you came up with, whatever that is, and all those little things in that being it's really is exciting. Yeah.
You worked with Steven Soderbergh on Out of Sight, and you've said about him as a director, I loved that he doesn't call action on set.
Yeah,
I hate when a director says that. Why do you hate hearing action? Isn't that what sort of gives you
It depends on the movie. It depends on how it's done. I don't like a big kind of like, and go, act. It's just, it's totally contradictory to the whole kind of idea of just like, just do your thing. You know what I mean? Like, I hate it when people scream like, quiet. quiet, everybody, pay attention now. You just want it to all. I heard a great story about. Oh, who was it? It was in Remains of the Day. Actor, brilliant, best actor in the world.
We will Google
ever,
it
forever.
later. And yeah.
Come on. Anyway, oh my God. No, it was a scene where all these extras, and it was a dinner scene and everything, and people were talking, and they were doing the scene, and then the first came in and yelled at all the extras for talking. You have to pretend you're talking. He screamed at them, and the actor went and said, "Well, thank you for destroying anything real about the scene whatsoever. You've just destroyed it." Anyway, but it wasn't like that on this movie at all. Matt is one of a kind, man. That guy is a brilliant director.
I was very excited to be meeting you because you star in one of my all-time favourite films, Reality Bites. Can't believe that was your first film.
Reality Bites.
Love that film.
Oh, you're one of those, huh?
Yeah, I'm sorry I am. But it got me thinking, your CV is so full and so varied. Is there one particular role that people want to talk to you about?
No, it varies. It really does. It depends on who you are. I mean, there's so many, like, comedy, like, Saving Silverman is a big one, or That Thing You Do, or now I've done this, like, series of Wimpy Kids series, so I have these little guys that recognize me. It's interesting how perception and how over time it changes, and how you become a part of somebody's subconscious mind, and it's fun to guess when somebody's walking up to you, like, I bet you they,
And,
what movie is it that they like?
And finally, what's next for you?
I'm doing a series called The Crossing. I start shooting in July.
Brilliant. We're looking forward to that. And I'm going to go back and watch Reality Bites while we all watch War for the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah,
Thanks
there
a
you go.
million.